So this story comes from AP News. State lawsuits defend abortion access with religious freedom.
Similar. This is another.
I felt like it dovetailed
very
nicely.
Dovetail, yeah.
So, the overturning of Roe v. Wade is clearly motivated by a specific type of Christian religiosity. When they talk about it, even when the justices talked about it, they talk about the morality around the issue of abortion, and they are absolutely taking on a certain fundamentalist read of Christianity, as if that's the only religious belief system that intersects with abortion and the rights of women and rights of reproduction.
Right.
And so they overturn Roe v. Wade, and then these states are like, great, we're going to be awful, monstrous, patriarchal dickheads, and we're going to restrict women's access to their own bodily autonomy. And so a bunch of folks, particularly Jewish people, have come out and said, wait a minute, what about my religious freedom? In my religious freedom, we don't believe that the unborn are alive. We actually believe religiously, we have a faith tradition that's actually older than your faith tradition.
In fact, your faith tradition is built on ours.
Right. You're the fucking sequel, motherfucker. We're the fucking prequel up in this bitch.
We're fucking OG. Fuck out of here. You're absolutely right. And what I like is that they aren't framing it around the child.
Right.
They are framing it around the woman. They are saying our religion is forcing us to pay attention to the woman in this equation, period. It is not forcing us to pay attention to anything else.
Yep.
So we're not even talking about anything else in this equation, period. So that's not, there's nothing that comes in besides what is in front of us. Now, once something else comes into the picture, then we can have any kind of discussion that we want.
Yep.
But I'm only dealing with what is in front of me, what is obvious and in front of me. And that's why religion tells me to do. And, we talk about, how monstrous this is. And it is monstrous. It's across the country. So many different states had these on-off switches already in place, ready for Roe to be overturned. They were ready to subjugate half our population on a moment's notice. They were ready to do it. Yeah. And
they had the fucking red smocks already.
Exactly. And the white bonnets, they were ready to go. And in some states like Indiana, they specifically planned to do something right away afterwards and did and succeeded, right? So they immediately did it, and they immediately brought it up to the legislators, and the legislators immediately passed, and the governor immediately signed it. They wanted to get it done as soon as possible. And this happened in multiple states.
Urgent priorities.
It was
for these assholes.
super urgent, right? So it's a horror across the country, but we were sort of struggling. How do you deal with this? What do you do? How do you deal with this? Because it seems like, the way up is blocked, but the way up religiously might not be.
It might not.
Right? It might not be. It might be that the way to climb back up that mountain is to use the religion against them, to say it's, you say it's religious, but I'm saying it's religious for other people. And this suddenly turns it into, okay, we got this wrong because we chose one religion over another religion. We gave primacy to one religion.
We did. This is going to create, at the very least, a position where there is no possibility for them to be honest with themselves.
Right. Yeah.
And now I don't think that will dissuade them, right? Because these are not an intellectually honest people.
You're right.
But, it may be the case that some states, so some of this might not be done at the federal level. This might go to state Supreme Courts. And those state Supreme Courts may say, all right, you know what, that actually is true. And so if you are a member of ABC religion, or you are a member of any religious faith, then you can have access to this medical care, because we can't restrict your access to care. We've seen similar things with some drug laws, where some drugs like peyote.
You're right. Yeah.
It's like, well, all right, if you are a part of this very specific group. Now, the difference with religion is there's a long-standing rule that the government can't question your faith. They can't say, well, you haven't been a Jewish person long enough, or you haven't believed in this thing. So we could, if that were the case, we could create a religion right now.
Sure.
Called the religion of I'm getting a fucking abortion, bitch.
That's a great religion.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And the government really is in a bind with that stuff to say like, because they have historically not been willing to say your religion doesn't seem real. We don't want to grant it like any kind of like rights of primacy because we don't believe it's reality, because that puts the government in a weird spot. That's how Scientology got recognized.
Right.
Scientology is fucking gobbledygook written by a fucking lunatic on a boat. Like that's nothing.
Yes.
Scientology is nothing.
Yeah.
It's a cult written by a fucking science fiction writer on a boat.
It's absolute
There's
garbage.
nothing.
It's absolute garbage. Yeah.
But it got pride of place, and it got a federal because the government's been unwilling to say. Same thing with Mormonism. That's nonsense.
It's nonsense,
like,
but
you know, like it doesn't even have like the
got a loophole,
antiquity to
got
it.
some loophole to it, though. Yeah.
It does.